Thank you so much. When we add a town hall, there are a lot of different voices, those who are in support and those who are against. Tonight, let me bring those who advocated and said, look, it's going to be for the interest of Nigerians. Is Malam Baba Yusuf, who is a trade and investment expert and is also the first substantive MD CEO of the first airport free trade zone in Nigeria. He's a group CEO of Global Investment and Trade Company, GITC. Thank you so much, and it's good to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Shehu.
Yeah, I thought that Taiwo was going to join us at some point, but I understand that they are having meetings after meetings.
Absolutely.
You were at the town hall.
Absolutely.
And when I called you earlier this evening to say, have you heard the news? And you seem so excited about it. Now, how does this come to you when the governors and the Presidential Tax Reform Committee had come to an agreement? And some people say it was a delicate agreement. How do you describe it?
Thank you very much for having me, Shehu. I'm very happy, expectedly so. I'm excited because when, first of all, as a northerner, we came out to speak to the pushback, you know, not necessarily entirely by the northern region, but largely so. Some of our people, including political leaders, you know, were throwing sour grapes and saying, why not? And the position is this: Nigeria needs to move forward in a united and progressive manner. There would be an evolution. We are undergoing an evolution. So when there's a position like this, if you remember at the town hall and in other medias and interventions, what I was saying is we should consult, engage, debate, and negotiate with a view to furthering this very critical reform that we require that has become antiquated. But the issue I had was for political leaders to say, throw it away. Don't even talk about it, or we cannot pay salary if this proceeds. I'm happy now that there's a synergy, you know, of objectives. It appears ab initio there was what I call misalignment of objectives and vision. And probably the learning points going forward is for the ruling party to put their house in order, synergize their vision, and then come out and present to the public or to Nigerians what is good for the country to avoid this kind of backlashes. But essentially, it is a milestone for us in this country. It is now a consensus that we need to move forward. And Sharon, what is interesting is, for those that don't know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is tactically moving us into restructuring. We saw the autonomy for local government secured. We saw the attempt to kill EFCC, ICPC dealt with, and we have seen now the tax reform, which is talking about derivation and production. So we are moving from rent-seeking commission collection to constructive disruption of creating value and innovation. I'm very happy for this.
There are those who will look at the political side to it, that look, if a government and the political party that is backing the government is coming up with an idea, an agenda, which you talked about in your manifesto, and if you're going to put this into the public, you should have some political moves on the ground before you come to the public. Did you think that there was a misstep from the ruling party in the first place?
Absolutely, like I said in my opening remarks, and I have even said it before today, during the heat of that moment, that there should be alignment of objectives. What is alignment of objectives? Between the federal government that is sponsoring this and the state governments, you know, that are required to buy into this, and indeed Nigerians who are the people that own the mandate. Unless that alignment is secured internally for the ruling party, the kind of missteps that we have seen is bound to happen. Because what happens is you will have suspicion, you know, mutual suspicion, especially for governors that are just coming out from a situation where we have achieved the local government autonomy, you know, to a large extent, and they are seeing those controls being removed from them. Nobody will let control go, Sheung, without negotiation and engagement. So I totally agree with you, and I think it's a learning point, you know, for the ruling party and for Nigerians, you know, and I'm happy that democracy is evolving, because in this case, we also saw pushback from members of the ruling establishment. Yeah. So the what do you call it, the give and take now will undergo what you call debate and negotiation in what? In the interest of the people. Further down the line, we'll talk about why that is very critical and crucial for the ruling party, and this is a chapter for us in the political evolution studies.
And I asked that question because when you there is, for every policy and governance issue, there's always a political, because at the end of the day, it's politics that will make this policy come to life.
Absolutely.
When you go to the nationals and politics with the governors, they have a pushback. The political elite said, no, this cannot go like this. And now there is a realignment. The president met the governors. Yes. He told them his mind. They went back and they consulted. They met with the committee, with the policy, those think tank and the intellectuals. They came to the round table. Politics is at the bottom. And those who say, who are those advising the president? Who are the political advisors to the president? They should have done their homework to say, you cannot go to town with this policy without doing the necessary political on-the-ground background work. But as that has been, as the governor of Nasarawa State, there was a major pushback from the northern region of the country. Do you think that the dust is settled, or there are still issues that may be lurking around in the future?
Well, Sheung, like I said earlier, this is a wake-up call to Nigerians generally, but particularly northern Nigeria. There may be issues lurking around. Like you said, you cannot divest policy, especially with issues of tax. Tax is highly politically driven. But going forward, it will also speak to how governance should be looked upon by the people that are holding, crucial offices like governors, including the legislatures. Because what it means is that it has brought about, it has changed the game of policy formulation and policy implementation going forward, that you need to get the buy-in of your internal customers, and that's the political party itself, and reinforce that cohesion, because they are your marketers. Before you even go to the image makers of the party or the administration, the confidence of Abayo Ananuga or others to speak about this will be a reflection of the coordination of selling that policy to the internal customers before you come to the citizens, and even indeed the opposition political parties. And that is the lesson for not just APC today, but maybe going forward. But like I said, this is opening a new vista, Sheung, with regards to the structure of governance.
There was a big dent on the political status of the president in northern Nigeria. And the average person on the street in northern Nigeria were agitated about this.
Absolutely.
Do you think that this will change anything?
Well, the truth is there has to be a postmortem of this situation if I am sitting within the strategy team of Mr. President. Because the truth is, in the last 1 month or so, the big perception issue that this has created for the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I can tell you, is huge. And I can tell you the political juggernauts in the north deliberately did this to create a situation for 2027, because perception is a key ingredient of politics, like you said. So the government needs to go back also to do some face-saving mechanism and provide reassurances. Don't forget, religious leaders came out and taking very fundamental position on this. Those people at the lower strata of society need to get the right feedback by the APC, if anything. And don't forget, there are states that are governed by opposition party, even though the entire governors forum has bought into this. Albeit within that timeline, the critical stakeholders, which are the citizens, may still not get the gist of the matter.
One thing that is at the heart of the conversation, and there are loads and loads of issues. I'm one person that has gone through, scavenged every part of the bill, read all the pages of the four bills, and not only the legalese or the technicalities, but also what the bottom line, the economics of it in the average person's pocket. But let's look at the issue of the derivation, the formula. If we bring back the formula as agreed today, what is your take? Do you think this will work? Do you think this will serve the purpose for which these those who proposed the committee and what they proposed in the first place? Do you think this new formula will work?
Well, you see, when you are undergoing evolution, one of the crucial things to consider in your strategy is the issue of culture. As Peter Drucker said, the leadership guru, culture will have breakfast, will have strategy for breakfast. And to address that cultural issue, you have to systematically and strategically bring this constructive disruption. I call it constructive disruption because you are bringing a whooping, sweeping change. And in trying to do this change management, For now, you have proposed as a committee. What they proposed was a proposal, Sheung. It's a bill that has to be subjected to negotiation. The representatives of the people at the level of state governors have negotiated this. However we want to look at it, there is a constructive disruption. It's not going to be business as usual. Whether you are taking 10 miles now or 1 mile, it presupposes that they have accepted as governors, that they have proposed a negotiation which has been accepted. So they don't have excuse going forward for that. And I'm very sure that will also redefine, governance going forward for the subnationals. Because now they have made a proposal, it has been accepted. Whether we like it or not, it has changed the paradigm, of the current, framework. But let us also move, because it is always pushing us to the position of tax, or VAT. Don't forget, it's an omnibus bill, Sheung. It has to also talk about, the reorganization of our revenue collection mechanism, which has a lot of leakages, and pitholes, which will be addressed by this policy. So going forward, if you look at it wholesome, without, microing the issue to the issue of sharing of VAT, which to my mind is still transactional. We have to look at it from a strategic perspective. And I hope the governors also did that in their negotiation so that they don't leave some loopholes that will come and bite them later. Bottom line, you have to start creating value to really make any impact.
If there is any lesson from all of this conversation and this debate, what would that be?
The lesson is, going forward, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must review its communication strategy in how to engage internally and externally. Policy coherence is very key, and for you to achieve policy coherence, the building blocks of policy formulation includes critical stakeholder engagement, gauging the environment, perception management, expectation management of the people in trying to bring something that will be acceptable to all. But the big lesson point is governance will not be business as usual, like I said. Governors after this will have no excuse with regards to what comes to them. Value creation, value elevation, and value protection will be the only way for governors to move forward. Because I was telling people, okay, for those that are saying there shouldn't be reform for tax, what happens if this bill is withdrawn? What are they going to do going forward? Would it change the fortune, for example, of northern Nigeria with regards to how we harness the abundant resources we have, which have not been harnessed up to today? The point is, the future of North or Nigeria will depend on how leaders create value, innovate, and make the necessary impacts, because indeed the political consciousness of Nigerians have changed from 2023, and I'm very sure, as we are seeing it today, the pushbacks will even be more as people understand their rights and the expectations for their leaders, and the perception that leaders will determine on their own how it works is not going to be the case.
Well, I'm very excited in that, being in the middle of all of these conversations and the move that China's television, for example, made in organizing a town hall, which culminated into a larger conversation, brought a lot of information, education about this matter, and brought a lot of key stakeholders in the mix, and we were able to have somewhat a meeting point and a political way to go forward. And I think to a large extent, if we have intellectual conversation and a progressive way to look at every issue in Nigeria this way, we will move faster than we ever think.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
Totally agree with you.
Mr. Baba Yusuf,
thank you,
who is the Group CEO of Global Investment and Trade Company, GITC. Thank you so much indeed.
Appreciate it.